Welcome to the Fashionista Life podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Johnson. If you find yourself here, it may mean that you're looking for courage, clarity, or confidence in some part of your life. I interview experts in business, fashion, and life each week and share strategies for success, motivation, and mindset. Let's get started. Today, we welcome into the studio Sue Zumstein, and she is with Quest. This is a Collier County program that provides the resources needed to send hardworking students to four-year colleges and universities. It was started 25 years ago to help students achieve their goals of attending college. And something really important to note here is that 100% of the Quest participants are accepted into college. That's a pretty amazing stat.
Thank you, Jen. Good morning. I think what was really exciting is this morning I coincidentally received a text from a former parent whose son is graduating from Emory University. And, obviously I won't mention any names, but those are the wonderful moments that we have where we can sort of come full circle 4 years later and see the student success that we've worked with. And I had another student in my office today going, "Hey, I finished my first year of college. Can we start talking about medical school
Oh my
and planning
gosh.
for that?" I know. So it's been one of those days, coincidentally.
That's so energizing,
Yeah.
isn't it? I mean, it's like, okay, proof that this is working.
Yes, absolutely. And it's just great to have them continue to keep in touch with us and share
Right.
those moments with us.
And it helps to validate everything that you're doing
Yes.
and go,
Yes.
you know what? We're on the right path. We're doing the right thing.
100%. And continue to be a resource. It's
Exactly.
great too.
That's
we
awesome.
love that.
So, in that respect, we're talking a lot about college and preparation, and it seems so overwhelming. I have been there. I don't know what we would have done without you, because where do we start as parents? Like, when should they start this? When should the kids start this prep? And when should the parents start this prep? Because there's a lot that goes into it on the parent side and the kid side.
There is, absolutely. And so I feel like with Quest, a lot of times, we work with students starting in ninth grade, obviously all the way through graduation and beyond if they want us to. But there's this dance that we do back and forth with parents, and that some parents want to start SAT and ACT prep way too early, frankly, because if your child hasn't had the appropriate high school curriculum yet to be able to be successful in those tests, then we shouldn't start it too early. However, what parents need to be cognizant of is every high school class they take is a big deal. So first and foremost, the thing that every college is going to look at is what was the rigor of the curriculum that your child took, and then what were their grades. You don't need to have straight A's. Colleges would rather see a B in an AP class than an A in an honors.
Oh, makes sense.
Rather see a B in an honors than an A in a regular. So the point is, challenge yourself, get A's and B's, work hard. And the other thing to remember, freshman year needs to be easiest, senior year needs to be hardest.
Why is that? Because I would assume in my head that freshman and junior should be hard.
So look at it this way. On every single application that goes into a college, the student has to list every class they're taking their senior year. And of the hundreds of colleges that I have met with, consistently, every admissions officer says, we want to see that the year before you start college with us is your most rigorous, and that you are challenging yourself to your full potential. So while the transcript that the student applies with would be concluding the end of their junior year, all of their senior year classes are evaluated in a college application, seeing that, senior year is harder. Senioritis can be alive and well, but it's not but it's not what colleges want to see. So students and parents need to think about, okay, what do I need to have for high school graduation requirements? Because obviously that's important. But once we meet those requirements, what are we doing above and beyond to communicate to the college that we're going to be successful at their school, and that we have a drive and a motivation to not take the easiest path, but that we're willing to challenge ourselves?
So now that you said that, Do colleges, let's say you get accepted at a college, do they ever go back and check to go, oh my gosh, they said they were taking all these classes, but then they dropped out of them or they got D's in all of them?
Oh, 100%. So what happens at every high school in the United States is, so on your child's acceptance letter to college, in the fine print at the bottom,
The fine
the
print.
fine print,
Who reads that?
it says it's based on the student's end of the year transcript at the end of their senior year.
Oh my gosh.
So all of that is, it's validated that yes, they did finish these classes. And more importantly, if they've been an AB student, that they
Mhm.
didn't suddenly turn into a BC student.
Mhm.
So with a state university in Florida that I will not mention, I have had 2 times where they have sent seniors letters saying, "We need to talk to your guidance counselor."
This is not good.
No, exactly. And you suddenly became that BC student. And I've had that happen with out of state colleges
Wow.
as well and
Mhm.
universities. So senioritis can be very damaging. We don't want that
Wow.
to happen.
I would never really think that. As a senior, you probably think, "Oh, I'm home free now. I got accepted. I don't have to do anything."
I talk
No.
with seniors about this all the time, and I know that they kind of roll their
Mm-mm.
eyes at me, but I can assure you it has happened. And you don't want to have to go back and be working with your guidance counselor or teachers to try to say, please give me another
Right.
chance. This isn't really a representation
Wow.
of what I'm capable
Mhm.
of.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, sorry.
No, no, no. So that's kind of where the kids should start.
Yes.
Parents. As parents, what do we need to get financial things in order? What do we need to do leading up to that? Maybe that is starting in ninth grade. I don't know.
So the financial thing, with the FAFSA is for the seniors, the free application for federal student aid doesn't open until October 1st of the senior year. And it's always on prior. So, you know, I used to be the person who every year filed an extension before we did our
Yes.
taxes. So when it came time for us to do the FAFSA, we were
Oh,
like, "Oh my, it's October and we're not doing our taxes until
right.
October." So, yes, parents need to be in a situation where they're consistently filing their taxes by that April 15th deadline, or certainly August, to make sure that all of that is in, because that financial aid form now is a federal form, that federal form links to the Internal Revenue
Mm,
Service, and the parent's tax information feeds in. Well, if they don't have their taxes filed in a timely fashion, then all that gets held up. So, yes, there's no doubt. And for us as a family too, we were looking to downsize
mhm.
after our students graduated from college. And fortunately, the real estate market was in a good place in Naples.
It was.
But man, you do not want to be, so we didn't sell our house until after our kids graduated from college, so that we didn't show that,
Right.
"Oh, look at this," okay?
Exactly.
Because they will ask you, "How much cash, checking, and savings do you have on this individual day that you're filing this form?"
Oh.
And so it can get a little tricky. So let me tell you what we do at Quest is, this summer on June 17th,
Mhm.
actually on a Saturday, we're going to be working with all of our families who their students are starting their senior year with us. And we're going to be doing a hard financial aid
Mhm.
workshop. I'm going to teach them how to file the FAFSA. And we're going to be doing the FAFSA that is actually for this year's graduating class. But what we want to do is we want to get that number, because as soon as you do the FAFSA, it
Mhm.
spits out the number saying, here's what we think you can afford to pay. That number then goes to the college, and the college then determines how much money they're going to award you as a family in financial aid.
And they still, I know from personal experience, they double check that
Yes,
sometimes.
they
Like,
do.
and I'm like, "What?" Like, because
Uh-huh.
I don't remember what it was, but we did receive something about that, and they said they double check
They do.
numbers.
It's called a verification form.
Yes.
And it was funny with my older son, we never got flagged for
Mhm.
verification. For my younger son, we got flagged every year.
I wonder what that is.
I have
Weird.
that I don't know. Well, that's a federal
Yeah.
government, because these are all federal forms. But, as a parent, don't you want to know that number going in?
Right. Oh,
Here's what the
absolutely.
college thinks I'm going to have to
Right.
pay.
Do you have to do this? So do you, and this is another good point for our listeners. Do you have to do this every year that they're in college?
Uh
Okay. So
huh.
the other tip would be make sure that you have your taxes filed. This isn't just senior year. Make sure you have your taxes filed by August
Every
every
single
year.
year. And that's why at Quest, what we make sure
Yeah.
is we do this June, we're going to be teaching the parents how to do this form because I'm here, my staff's here to help
Mm-hmm.
them with it the first time out. We do it with everybody one on one. They can
Mm-hmm.
make an appointment with us and we'll do it. But they need to know how to do that because then second, third, fourth
Right.
year, they have to do it on their own. I can't keep doing it with them,
I guess that was
unfortunately.
the weird. I mean, I don't, I think back to college and I don't, you're a kid, you don't remember that.
Uh-uh.
And you're like, you have to do this every year.
Every year. So the good news is if your income goes down, doing it every year
Right.
works to your advantage. I guess the bad news
Mm-hmm.
is if your income goes up, you may get less money the second year.
Got it. With the kids headed back to school, you may have a little extra time on your hands to clean out your closet and maybe theirs. Or maybe you even have time to redecorate your house. If you're wondering what to do with all that stuff that you've accumulated, bring it all to True Fashionistas, or you can even ship it to them for free, where they'll sell your unwanted items for you. They take away all the hassle by doing all the work, and all you have to do is sit back and collect your money. You can reach out to them online at truefashionistas.com. Come into the store or check them out online or on Facebook or Instagram, and that's truefashionistas.com. All right, friends, we are back in studio again with Sue Zumstein with Quest, and we are talking about all things college. And we just got done talking about financial aid.
We did.
So I had an interesting question that just popped into my head. I was told, and I don't remember, I know it wasn't you who told me this, it was someone along the way. They said, do not apply for any kind of scholarships until you do the FAFSA and you've gotten into your school and they tell you how much.
Correct.
Why?
So if so whenever you do the FAFSA, it determines what your need is. It will literally spit out a number saying, here's what we think your
Mm-hmm.
family can contribute. So let's say the cost of the school is $80,000. Horrible number, but let's just say. And they say you can afford to pay 20. At some schools, depending on their financial aid policy, they'll make up the 60 in
Wow.
grants and scholarships, which is fantastic. So I think the best example of this is I had a young woman I worked with several years ago who got into Harvard.
Oh,
I was
wow.
so proud of her. And
Yes.
you want to hear the disturbing thing? She graduated with a 4.0 GPA. I know, one of these, I was just flabbergasted and very, very proud, obviously. But so Harvard was giving her everything.
Mm-hmm.
Her parents were at poverty level. So Harvard gave her 80,000 a year. She then also applied for a scholarship through Ronald McDonald
Mm-hmm.
House, which was $100,000, distributed 25,000 a year. I was thrilled. She won the
Mm-hmm.
scholarship. She got the money. Harvard, instead of giving her 80,000 a year, took that 25,000 and considered it as
Oh
income
my
and
gosh.
then started giving her 65,000 a year. So they will most colleges will look at significant scholarship amounts as income
Mm.
per year and then reduce the amount of money
That
they're
they-
giving you. So either way, it benefits the student, but I don't know that Harvard needed another $25,000 in their coffers.
Right.
And I kind of look at that of, could there have been another student out there who
Mhm.
may have more significantly benefited from that money than what this particular
Right.
young lady did? Does that make
It
sense?
totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it before.
It's kind of almost an ethical thing for
It
me.
is, yeah.
How can we ensure that scholarship money truly goes to the students that can benefit the most from
Exactly.
that?
That makes a lot of sense. College savings plans. Obviously, when you're a senior, it's a little late to start doing that. But when should parents start doing that? I know probably different states have different things.
So I have really mixed feelings about 529s versus Florida prepaids. Within the state of Florida, Florida has not increased tuition in years. So when you look at,
The state
say, the
colleges.
state universities,
Yes.
correct, University of Florida, FGCU, UCF, but when you get the cost, it's tuition and fees. And so while students haven't raised tuition, they have raised fees.
Mhm.
So when you purchase a Florida prepaid plan, for instance, you can purchase tuition and fees. And then there are caveats that UF is a research university.
Oh my gosh.
And so they get to tack on an extra $1,000 that your Florida prepaid plan won't cover. And you can't buy the plan for dorm and food unless you purchase tuition and fees. And Florida prepaid was overestimating what those numbers were going to be. And so some people are getting a refund on their Florida prepaid tuition plans because they overpaid for them. I personally think 529s give parents and students a breadth of choices. I'm more in favor of that because Florida prepaid encourages parents to lock in case tuition goes up. Tuition hasn't gone up in years.
And that's only to stay in the state of Florida.
Correct.
But the other one you were mentioning, can that be anywhere?
Anywhere. 529s are usable anywhere. And I have to say, my children were beneficiaries of a Florida prepaid tuition and fee plan, and they were able to use those out of state.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely. Now, you get the exact amount that you would get in Florida, which out of state can be a drop in the bucket.
Right, exactly.
But no, I use them out of state. Absolutely. And you can use it over 8 semesters or you can use it in one lump sum. But Florida prepaid plans are transferable out of the state of Florida.
I never knew that.
But Bright Futures is not.
Right.
Okay.
And that's different. That's based on academics.
That's based on service or work hours. It's based on a GPA and it's based on SAT or ACT scores, either way.
Okay.
Okay. But that has to stay in Florida. But the other thing is, some parents don't realize that can be used at private universities in Florida versus state universities. It is transferable anywhere in state.
Wow. And is that only you graduate high school and you can use it for the 4 years remaining after that? Or it's, oh, I want to go back to school 10 years later.
No, the last time I checked, it would only hold for 5 years.
Okay.
But even for students going out of state, such as with your daughter, I always encourage, even if they're planning on going out of state, I encourage students to still activate their Bright Futures because sometimes things happen.
Right.
And if they have to come back, and we just want to make sure it's there, they've earned it, let them have that. And one other myth relating to financial aid and Bright Futures, there is a myth out there that parents have to do the FAFSA, free application for federal student aid, to get Bright Futures. And that is one of the worst myths that I hear in college admissions. So Bright Futures is strictly merit money. It is not dependent on a family's income. It is merit. It is not financial aid. It is a merit scholarship based on the student's achievements. So I hate it when parents think we have to do a FAFSA.
Right.
Well, no, you don't.
It's
No,
so
you
nice to
don't.
dispel those things because
Yes.
the little nuggets that we hear for whatever it is. And you're like, well, that's how I've always heard it. And you believe it to be true. And until someone says, no, where did you hear that?
Exactly. And boy, we battle that all the time.
I am sure. I'm sure. So, what 3 tips would you tell kids who are starting in 9th grade right now? 3 tips that will be very beneficial to them.
So, first one is you will be taking 7 or 8 classes a day, depending on what high school you're at. Realize that within the state of Florida and a lot of universities around the United States, they will recalculate your GPA using only your core electives. So if you can take 7 classes, try to have 5 that are cores. And cores are math, science, social studies, foreign language, and English classes. Take your cores and focus on those. Most colleges will get rid of those wonderful A's in
Hmm.
band or art or PE, that kind of thing. The second thing is challenge yourself academically. Again, like we talked
Right.
about, get a B in a harder class as opposed to A in an easier one. Always try to challenge yourself academically and realize that every grade counts. I had a parent talking to me this morning saying, "Oh, well, he's had C's in math all year, but we're still going to apply to an Ivy League school because his other grades are great." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, no, that's not that's not
Right.
that's not going to work well." And so just encourage students also starting ninth grade, have the humility to ask for help.
Hmm.
All kids are not great in all subjects. You may be the science math kid, but not the English history, or vice versa. Ask for help. Teachers feel flattered when students
Yes, I
approach
imagine.
them and
Right.
say, "Can you help me get a better grade in your class?
Hmm.
What do I need to do? Can you help me understand this concept?" And instead, I think students struggle with that. And we all know as
Hmm.
adults, we all need to ask for help.
We struggle with it as adults.
We do.
We should know better.
We should. And so teaching your child that skill set as to who do I reach out to get support within my coursework, I just think is a very, very valuable lesson for freshmen to learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I have to talk about myths. I had heard during this whole college exploration that we've done as a family, extracurricular, extracurricular. Oh my gosh, the more things you're involved in, the more chances you're going to get people to say, the colleges to say yes to you. What do you say to that?
Well, so I did a webinar yesterday or Wednesday. Yeah, it was yesterday, Wednesday, with Boston University, Northeastern, and Tufts. And there was a pretty constant theme across the board. And that, again, we want to see lopsided kids. What is it that they're passionate about? The
Mm,
word well rounded, I have not heard from a college or university in several years. They're looking for kids that are passionate about a few key things because that's going to make them different
mhm,
than everybody else who's applying to college. At this point, over more than 25 years, I've worked with probably close to 2,000 students going through this process. And, frankly, they can all look the same whenever it comes to
mhm,
activities. Sometimes parents think that them having an internship is going to be a differentiator. And there are things, but try to encourage your children to have depth in what they care about. So, in other words, if you love playing soccer and you've been playing soccer for years, in your community service, could you be coaching a
Oh,
soccer
great.
team
Mhm,
with younger kids? Could you be volunteering within the areas that you're passionate about within your activities?
mhm,
Okay. And that's a way to find that lopsided thing. Think about it in ninth grade that you start out doing a breadth of activities. And by the time you're going into your junior year, you're not doing the breadth, you're doing depth in
makes
the
sense.
few key things that you think about.
Honing in.
Yes, parents need to stop talking about well-rounded students and instead think about how do I have a lopsided student who's
Mhm.
passionate about a few key things.
That is great advice.
Thank you.
Awesome advice. So if our guests would like to get a hold of you or Quest, how would they do that?
So my email is sue@questforsuccess.com. And I won't give my cell phone out over the air, but gee, if you go to the Quest for Success website and look under enrollment, my cell phone is down there, as is my email address.
Wonderful. It's such a great program, and I'm very thankful that you're on with us today.
Thank you, Jen.
My pleasure. And thank you, my friends, for joining me today and every week here on The Fashionista Life, brought to you by True Fashionistas. If you want a deeper dive, head to my website, thefashionistalife.com, to sign up for my weekly newsletter where we take a deeper dive each week into a new topic. Have a fabulous day.